Good morning, boys and girls. So we are continuing our study of frogs and toads this week. And today we're going to look more at the life cycle of a frog. Frogs are so amazing, just similar to butterflies because they go through metamorphosis. Can you say that big long word, boys and girls? Metamorphosis. That means they completely change during their life. They start out as one kind of animal and they end up as a completely different kind of creature, animal. So let's read more about the life cycle of a frog, written by Karen Kenny. Chapter 1, Floating Eggs. Small, clear eggs float in a pond. Each one has a dark center. The dark spots wriggle and twist. What are they? Frog embryos. So these are called embryos, and they look like eyeballs to me. The embryos grow into tadpoles. They break free into the water. They keep changing until they are adult frogs. Each change is a step in their life cycle. So here is a real picture of a tadpole. Frogs are amphibians. Let's say that big long word, boys and girls. Amphibians. Most start their lives in water. That's where a female frog lays her eggs. The eggs need water or they will dry up. So boys and girls, amphibians are any animal that starts life in water, but then ends up living on land. Frogs are one of those animals. Did you know that frogs live on every continent except Antarctica? They need water. They absorb it through their skin. That reminds me of butterflies because butterflies live on every continent except Antarctica. I think Antarctica is just too cold for most animals to survive, except the penguins. Some tree frogs make foam nests. The nest sits in a tree above water. They lay their eggs inside. The frogs release a liquid. Then they kick it with their legs. It makes millions of tiny bubbles. The foam hardens and it protects the growing eggs. The tadpoles will hatch and drop into the water below. Some female frogs lay as many as 20,000 eggs at once. Wow, that's a lot of baby tadpoles. This is the foam nest. Wow, that is so cool. Chapter 2, Swimming Tadpoles. Inside each egg, the embryo grows. After a few days or weeks, it starts to wriggle. The tadpole hatches. A tadpole doesn't look like a frog. It has a big head and a long tail. It is born with gills outside of its body. Soon they are replaced with gills inside of its body. So it really does look more like a fish, or actually looks like a baby eel or something to me. New tadpoles are hungry. They eat jelly from their eggs. That's kind of similar to the butterflies, the caterpillars eating their own shells, right? Then they stick to plants and eat for a few days. Later, they search for small pieces of dead plants and animals. They might even eat a frog or toad eggs. Whew. The tadpoles grow. 4 little legs appear beneath their skin. The back legs pop out first. You can see there they are. They're growing their legs. They get longer and bigger. Their front legs appear too. Then it's time for an even bigger change for the tadpoles. Chapter 3, Hopping Frogs. The tadpole gets ready to live outside the water. They grow lungs. We have lungs, boys and girls. If you take a deep breath, you can feel the air filling up the lungs in your body. Their gills disappear. The tadpoles have been growing for 12 weeks. They are now froglets. They look like tiny frogs with tails. Their bodies slowly absorb their tails. That means their tails just kind of disappear. As they grow bigger, their tails disappear, just like I just said. They are finally adult frogs. They live on land. They use their strong legs to hop. Their long, sticky tongues snatch insects from the air. Look at his long tongue and how it curls at the end. That's good for catching insects. Each frog goes through a life cycle. It has 4 stages. A frog starts out as an embryo. It grows inside its egg for 6 to 21 days. So this is the egg stage. Then it becomes a tadpole. The tadpole hatches from the egg. It grows underwater for 6 to 9 weeks. Then it becomes a froglet. After 12 weeks, the tadpole changes into a froglet. It grows lungs and legs and loses its tail. And then it becomes an adult frog. 12 to 16 weeks after it hatches, it becomes an adult frog. Each spring, frog returns to the water. The males croak. It's a call to find a mate. They make this sound with a special sac. The female frog lays her spawn. Then the male frog adds his sperm. The eggs stay in the water. They begin to grow. Soon new tadpoles will hatch. The life cycle begins all over again. All right, boys and girls, so let's take a look in our classroom. And this is what you need to do today. Now, this life cycle added one stage. So it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here are the life cycle stages down bottom. And the directions are color the pictures below. So your first direction, boys and girls, is to color the pictures. Then you cut the parts and you put them in the correct order. So we can go through this. The life cycle, the first stage is the eggs. And that's where you would put number 1, the eggs. Number 2 is the tadpole that hatches from the eggs. You would cut the tadpole and glue him at number 2. Number 3 is when the tadpole has grown legs. So when the tadpole starts to grow legs, that's the 3rd stage. The 4th stage is the froglet. The baby frog is called a froglet. And then stage 5 is the adult frog. So you will color the pictures, cut the pictures, and glue them in the right order in the number of which stage it is, okay? All right, have a great day, boys and girls, and I'll see you tomorrow for some more frog and toad fun.